And here we go. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the stream and welcome to the channel. My name is Eric. I'm a photographer, filmmaker, editor, and writer, and today we are going to be looking at some more of my photography. I'm trying a different lighting system today, so let me know how it goes. Let me know how it looks. I might not even need these if I'm not staring into a light as much anymore. We'll see. But anyway, yes, welcome to the stream and the channel. Today we're going to be looking at photos from I recently took a weekend in West Virginia around the new River Gorge. We're going to be looking at photos from that. Just, again, sorting through, picking out the good ones, picking out our favorites, and going from there. As always, the reason I do this, geez, I spend a couple days out of state, and I start forgetting why I'm doing this. Forgetting to say it, at least. As always, the reason I do this is because for a couple of reasons. One, to pull the curtain back on the subject of post-processing photography. It happens with every photo that you see. Pretty much every beautiful photo that you see on Instagram, every beautiful landscape has gone through post-processing to some degree. And that's why here on AfterCut, which is a series about post-processing and processing post, we talk about the decisions made in post and why we make the choices we do. In this case, why I make the choices I do, and I always love if you share your thoughts on how you see it and what you like and what you would change otherwise. So that's the reason I do it. I like to share this, and I like to do it out here on YouTube for free because so often, if you can find other professional photographers willing to talk about this kind of thing, it's behind a paywall, and that's, to my mind, not a good way of making money and not a good way of sharing your work. So this is how I do it. This is why I do it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this. So jumping into Lightroom, here we go. And yeah, I think we're dropping some frames a little bit. Internet might be a little bit shaky today, so bear with me on that. Okay, so photos from West Virginia. We're gonna start. There's three different places we went. Three different places. We've got got Babcock State Park, we've got Cathedral Falls, and we've got Hawk's Nest. So we're gonna unlike Colorado, where we had like almost 1,700 photos. This one we have we only have 200, so should be a little bit easier to kind of blow through. Absolutely stunning, and do more with, because I haven't done a whole lot with these. And decided, let's go ahead and let's take a bunch of photos, and let's take a look at how that comes together. So, all right. Staring at the screen's going to start hurting, so let's do this. All right. Digging in. Here we go. So, and I've got a bunch of these from this angle. There's several good spots to take photos from. This is my favorite one. So, let's see. Probably going to end up keeping most of these. Definitely keeping that one. This is the thing about the grist mill. You can center the waterfall. And we've talked a lot about this on the channel recently about trying to find the moment, the spot that feels like the photo is centered, even if what would be the subject of the photo, in this case the mill, isn't exactly on center. This photo is about the relationship between the mill and the nature around it, and specifically the water that powers it. So, fun fact: this is actually a functioning grist mill. When the water level is high enough, they can actually they actually use it. They grind up a whole bunch of different things. They sell them at the gift shop, which is across the parking lot. So it is a functioning grist mill, unlike the Crystal Mill or the Sheep Mountain Powerhouse. If you watched the streams from a couple weeks ago from Colorado, fun to get to visit two of the kind of most famous mills in the country. Didn't know that was a category until recently. Okay, so this photo, this is the one we were just looking at. I'm gonna keep it. I don't know. It does feel off-center to me. This one feels off-center in the wrong direction, but I like it. I like this rock out here, kind of making this dark shadow out there. Yeah, just kind of that's not the rock. That's kind of a cave, kind of the underhang of that waterfall. I like that one a little bit better. I'm gonna say no to that one. Come back to, actually, I'm going to keep that one as a vacation photo. I just don't flag it. All right. And this is kind of me trying to balance out both. No, I think I just went back to the first framing. I'm going to go ahead and just keep that. All right, zooming out a little bit. I like that. I like having, gives me a little, feels like I've got a little more room to center. I'm going to, when I get into cropping, I'm going to adjust this a little bit. But I like this one. This one feels off-center. This one feels like I'm letting this tree in too much. And that it's a little bit too much of a thing. All right, now I've kind of, in this moment, I've given up trying to get the whole waterfall and just focused on this little cascade here with the mill behind it. That does feel much more centered. Gonna keep that one. That's one of the ones I've already edited, or one of the similar framing to the one I've already edited. Again, this is like kind of got the same problem as that one, where it's a little bit feels like I'm kind of focusing on the wrong thing. But yeah, I don't know. Something about that I like. Looking at the thumbnail up here, something about that actually appeals to me, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep that. Next, I've already edited that one, so I know I'm keeping that one. Again, I don't know. This one feels a little more centered compared to this one down here. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep this. This feels a little more like I'm trying to finding the symmetry. And I'm gonna find this in cropping, and I'm gonna find it in selection of finding the photo that really feels like it just you can't not look there right down the middle. All right. This shot, I to some degree, when you're out at a place like this where there are multiple ways to kind of get out on the water and multiple people who want to see it, you end up playing kind of a game of sit there and take pictures when you can. At this point, these two, I kind of just gave up on waiting for them to move, so decided to go ahead and take the photo. And if I end up using this, I will either find a way to focus to keep them in there, or I will probably more than likely edit them out, which is a thing that we occasionally have to do, and it's not ideal, but it does keep us from trying to hog a place that does not belong to us. And then there's this. I don't know if I like this photo. I'm gonna keep this as a vacation photo because I like the memory of the mill and everything, and the memory of waiting for these two to move. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna keep this. I don't know if I'm gonna edit this. I think that I don't know if it does as much for me. I don't know. So feel free to chime in and let me know what you. It's a maybe. It's a big maybe for me on that one. This was interesting. This was just we did a hike up some of these up kind of around these cliffs to a viewpoint up at the top, and as we were walking on the ground under these cliffs, I looked up and I saw this, and I kind of liked it. I think I'm gonna keep the first one. I'm gonna keep the second one as a vacation photo because I do like it. But I think if I'm gonna edit any of them, I'm gonna edit this one. I really like the depth that just follows, and the line of light coming down. There's something there that I think we could have a lot of fun. I'm starting to lose my taste for lake, sky, forest in the middle. I don't think that's doing much for me. This a little more. It's got a little more going on. Also, yeah, still got some sky that needs to be kind of brought in there. There's something there. There's something a little more. Maybe just because I'm it's not the last one. Let's see. Man, I was just sort of enamored with that corner of the lake. Couldn't exactly tell you why. I'm starting here because I think some of the later photos are more impressive than. Just sort of working my way through. That one's doing nothing for me. This one's doing a little. I kind of like the texture in the water and the reflection. That might be fun. Nope. Okay, and we'll keep this one because I've already started playing with it. And this is the thing. I talk a lot about when like a lot of if you ask normal people about what kind of weather they like, they're not gonna say overcast. If you ask a photographer what kind of weather they like, they might say overcast, and I often do because when it's overcast, the sun is not beating down and adding its own light, it tends to pull out the color in the world a lot more, and these greens are just really lush and vibrant because everything else is just white. Hey, Stephanie, good to have you back on here. Missed you. And now we're back at the mill because yeah, Babcock has a lot of wonderful places to explore. I have not had the chance to explore many of them, but the mill is kind of a good central location, so we came back to it. Let's see, got a bunch of these. Let's see what we got. So we got this one. That one's I like that one. I like the rock here in the foreground. Let me see if I did. Nope, didn't do another one of those. I was kind of wow. I don't usually get to stick to one composition. I usually take a bunch of the same composition. To this one, I kind of stuck to, which I'm actually pretty proud of. This is a vacation photo. This isn't one I necessarily want to edit. I don't know, but I'm looking at the thumb. I'm looking at the photo itself. It doesn't immediately scream out to me. Looking at the thumbnail, something about this appeals. Something in here, I don't know what it is. I don't know exactly what it is about this photo, but this photo I'm going to keep, and I'm going to commit to... No, 1 star, not 4. I'm going to commit to taking an approach with it. We'll see. This one I will depend a lot on whether or not I can find anything in the sky. Doesn't look like it. That sky looks pretty just overexposed, and yes, it is. Bring the exposure down. No, there's not really a point where there ever gets any information in the sky there. Nah. We got other wides of it. I'm fine without having this one. All right, we got a couple here. All right, now this is more like it. This is me kind of adjusting a composition. The wide composition feels a little centered, but does feel very disconnected. So I'm going to say no to that one. It feels like the mill is just sort of there, and then also there's water. This one feels a little better. That one feels like the best of them. This one feels like it's much more about the relationship between everything. Just because it all seems more compact. This is one of those things that we talked about this on the Colorado stream, in terms of, you know, having a telephoto lens, and when you zoom in, it does tend to compress things and make things feel more connected. This is a subtle example of that, because it's 50 millimeters. This is 45. This one out here is a 35, so it's 15 millimeters. Yes, it's 10 further out than this one, and 15 further out than this one. But for some reason, to me, that's making a difference. This one, I don't think I need. I think the answer is this one. So cool. Next. All right, now I decided to tilt down and get some sky. Which should have some detail in it. There it is. Cool. We can work with that. That'll be fun. Does this composition do anything for me? Got a few of these. Okay, so yeah, I'm getting further out, standing on rocks out in the middle of the water to get photos. I don't know if this one's appealing to me that much. I like the cool thing about this mill, depending on how you photograph it, it either feels like it's standing out strong from the landscape, or feels like it's tucked away neatly behind the trees, which is pretty cool. I'm gonna keep this. I might cropping this might end up being the way to go. There we go. Now I got further out. And went. Did I change my... Yeah, further out, zoomed in a little bit. Okay. Starting to lose the mill there. Definitely losing the waterfall. I don't know if this one does anything for me. I don't think it does, as I'm looking at it. This is a little better. This feels a little more centered. When the waterfall and the rest of that sort of like little stop being as much a focus of the photo, centering the mill makes it really easy to make the photo symmetrical. I like this one. This one's gonna come up like I just did. Like one of the ones I edited looks like this, and that's the same kind of framing and the same kind of thing. I don't know. Does anyone think that's oversaturated? I'm on the fence. Like I think I definitely turned the saturation up on it. I don't know if it's too much or if it adds to it. Because I want to try to find that lushness without it being distracting. All right, so we were looking at, we said yes to this one. This one, I've kind of already, this one, again, sort of centering, but are both white. That could be interesting. Yeah, we'll keep that for that reason. Like I said, already edited this one. Already liking it. Did a black and white version. Still working on this one, I think. I think this one could use, set this back to 2 stars. I think this one could use a little bit more work. But I think that one's off on a good start. All right, this one's a vacation photo. I was waiting for the park workers to finish their work on the sluice gate up there, which, yeah, that's the gate. That channel that they're standing in is where the water comes in and, you know, pours down on the wheel, spins the wheel, and then that wheel on the inside is connected to the big gear that turns the whole thing. So that's what they're up to. That's what they're working on up there. Going to keep that as a vacation photo. And this was me experimenting with, starting to experiment with some shutter speed differences. I honestly like both of these. I think they're both pretty cool. I'm keeping both. Let's see. Moving on. Here's me experimenting with shutter speed. Here's me starting to play with differences in shutter speed, and in this case, going down to 1/4 of a second, so that I could get like the kind of ghosty water that you like from a waterfall in some cases. I like this one a lot. I think this one's got a good amount of potential. Maybe this one feels second. It makes the mill feel like it's a background thing. Makes it a photo about the waterfall, but the waterfall is pretty, so it might be worth keeping. I already said no to that one. I went through these and sorted out which ones were overexposed and not overexposed and underexposed, but because I'm doing this freehand, holding my hand still for 1/4 of a second, holding the camera, sometimes doesn't. Sometimes my hands shake a little bit, and I end up with photos that, like if I zoom in here, a little bit blurry compared to this one, which is much sharper. So that's gone through and already flagged some of these, which I realize I've promised to, when I share these on stream, to show the bad ones and to show the mistakes, because the mistakes are just as important. This one's pretty cool. This one's got that nice, framing that we liked before. But yes, I like this a lot as a sort of, connection between the mill and the water. Again, shaky ones that I got rid of. Zooming out a bit. Yeah, that one's pretty clean. Pretty clean. Mostly clean. But I'm not loving it. It's a little bit, it's too shaky. It's a little too shaky. I don't love the angle I'm at. It's not connecting with me though I was hoping it would. Another one that doesn't quite work, mostly in this case because someone's out there. And you can sort of see, he turned his head, because you can sort of see the hat go up and down. This one, I got people up there, but I'm not too worried about them. Not as sharp as I'd like it to be. I'm also not hugely enamored with this framing. I feel like if I'm doing the waterfall, I want the waterfall to kind of be a little more centered. I got this one over here, but it's not really doing much. So let's say no to that. I don't have a whole lot of landscape ones. Let's unflag this. Let's make it a vacation. I'll say yes to it. I'll see if I can come up with what I can end up doing with it. This one's better. This one, the rock feels like it's a good part of the photo. The waterfall doesn't feel like it's necessarily ignored, and the mill is there in the background, and the sky's up there nice. It's a little overexposed, but I think if we bring highlights down, we'll get, we removed most of the overexposure. That looks better. Okay, let's go ahead and mark that as a pick. Let's see, another one that I didn't love the composition, also was a bit shaky. This one coming all the way back. How overexposed is that sky? This is one of those moments where I have a 10-stop filter that I could put on the camera to, which in this case I'd need the tripod. What I would have used is a lesser ND filter, but that filter allows me to do ND filters in general, which is ND is neutral density. They don't they're not filters that add a color or add a contrast or add anything other than that. All they do is just darken, and for the most part, when you say you measure neutral density filters in stops, and that's basically that's adding clicks to your aperture, or adding stops to your aperture. So if you take a photo 5.6 but with a 1-stop filter on it, you're basically taking it at like an f6.7, something like that. Don't ask why the stops are that way. That's a long story that doesn't need to be doesn't really do us any good. But so a 10-stop ND filter is designed for doing long exposures during the daytime, because it wants to cut out 10 stops or 10 f-stops of exposure, which can be super useful for getting stuff like this. But it also means I would need a tripod. Didn't have the tripod out there with me, and decided instead of bringing up the filters just to do this freehand. And I think it looks good, but that's how you end up with the sky being overexposed, and needs a little bit of finessing in here to make that work. But I think we can have a lot of fun with how this photo ends up looking, especially by doing the clarity down and the texture up a little bit, and give it kind of that soft look. Yeah, we're gonna keep this. We're gonna give it a star. I don't know, maybe about that. We'll come back to that one. And then let's see, another one that hands were shaking. You can actually see how much my hands were shaking here, because you can, this already looks out of focus, and that's unusual. And then this one, which I like. Again, I like the rock. I like kind of the line it makes. Yeah, there's something about this. I don't love this as much as some of the others. I think this one is a better example of it, and I still think this one's a little bit off kilter. I need to adjust my horizon. But this one I've started touching. That gets 2 stars. This one gets 1 star because I'm going to work on it. This one, yeah, I like it. I don't think it's as good as the last one we looked at, but I do like it, so I'm going to keep it. And then a couple more here right at the end where my hands were just getting shaky, and that was kind of the moment to say, okay, done. All right, cool. So, of the 57 photos in this category, if I choose just the flagged ones, if I filter by just the flagged ones, there we go, 30. That's not bad. We almost cut it in half. That's not bad at all. All right, let's look at our next set. Let's go to our Hawk's Nest ones. We've got 110 photos in this category. Some of the fun. I already said no to this one just because it wasn't doing me any favors. This was a boat ride. Obviously, I'm down at water level. We were kind of riding on the New River, basically between the dam at one end and the start of the rapids at the other. Which if you are going to New River Gorge and you're looking at all the things you can do, if you aren't going whitewater rafting, doing a jet boat tour, which is it's like 45 minutes. You're out on the water. It kind of takes you as far as they can in a powered boat. It's very pretty, and it's a cool, and you get a very nice view at the end where you get to see the bridge. We'll get to that. If you're going whitewater rafting, you don't need to do the jet boat tour. I like something about this. I don't know what it is. I did a couple of these. Not this one. I'm not sure I love most of the ones under the bridge. The ones under the bridge aren't doing a whole lot to catch my attention. That one maybe. There's something about that I like. This one's interesting. I got this one. Yeah, I'm gonna keep that. That's got an interesting perspective to it. Between these two, let's see. Looking back and forth at the two options here. Wrong direction. I kind of like this one better. I think I like the first one better than the second. In this case, coal trains in them, not a thing I want in my photography. I like sharing humanity's relationship with nature and the ways that we are the same. I dislike doing it when it's explicitly polluting. So we're gonna skip that one. Let's see. Already kind of said no to these. We're going to skip that one. Let's see. Already kind of said no to these. I was warming up, and I'm not a huge fan of this, just the rock there. I like the first one here. I don't know if I'm going to do anything with it, but if you're a frequent fan of the channel, and if you've been on here for the Colorado photos, I do love... I don't need to zoom in that much. We can zoom in. Come on. We can zoom in that much. That helps. I love a good white branch or a white tree stuck out amongst the forest, so we're going to keep that. Coming back the other direction, let's see. Got the wake in there that I kind of liked, but it's not that one, and this one's a vacation photo. Going back under the bridge, or coming back out from the other side of the bridge, I got better bridge ones coming up. These were interesting. These were people's little fishing cabins kind of right down at the water's edge, which I thought were neat. And just, again, humanity's relationship without polluting or robbing the environment. But not that photo. This one, maybe? Let's see. Obviously, my horizon's way off, and it will need to be corrected. I don't know if that one's striking my attention, though. I know I've looked through these, so I know there's better coming up. We're going to take a look at that. Let's see. Don't know what that one is. That's not one I necessarily want to be doing much with. This one's better. This one's kind of, hitting the goal of what I want these photos to look like. That's actually really good. I want these photos to look like. That's actually really good. You've got the little fishing cabin, you got the dock, you got the whole thing, and then you've got it juxtaposed against the water and the trees. That feels like a good relationship photo. This one, not so much. I like the reflection. Isn't really doing much for me in terms of the context, other than just having the reflection there. And I apologize to anyone who's viewing for all the dropped frames today. This is not part of the plan. All right, this photo, you got the new River Gorge Bridge, but also got our boat captain's hand in it. And we have better photos coming up. That's getting a little better. Let's take a look at this once let me see how overexposed I am. A little better. Let's take a look at this let me see how overexposed I am, because that means I should be able to pull the highlights and the whites down. There's the sky. Look at that. That's another reason. And the whites down. There's the sky. Look at that. That's another reason always that you want to take. When you see a photo that looks like it's got something more going on, you want to take the time to explore it a little bit, get some color. That's too much. That feels like it's way too. That photo can stay. I don't know which one's better here. Second one. I'm gonna go with the second one because I like what the water's doing. I think the bridge is a little more centered. Here we go. Now I've actually started adjusting my my f-stop, my shutter speed, so that we can expose correctly. Yeah, that one looks good. Yeah, that one feels like it's kind of telling a story a little bit. I like that one. Yeah, that one feels like it's kind of telling a story a little bit. I like that one. This one, not as much. For some reason, I don't know. This one seems like it's more fleshed out. It feels like it fills the frame a little better, but it doesn't feel like it's... I'm going to keep both. We'll come back to it. This one, again, caught part of the boat in it, even though it's kind of cool to have that truck in the middle. I'm gonna keep that as a vacation shot. Here we go. Now we're down at water level. Now we're looking... Yeah, got the light coming off the water. Bring the highlights down. There we go. The highlights down. I'm going to adjust the texture on this one in general, just to get the texture in the water to pop up. But, like, yeah, that's kind of the photo I was hoping to get. I like that one a lot. All right, keeping that one. Throwing 2 stars on it because I've started playing. Next, yeah, love one where the water is more prominent. It's probably the better one, but I like this one too. Especially given one where the water is more prominent. It's probably the better one, but